Job was a man who lived in the land of Uz, known far and wide for his righteousness, integrity, and deep reverence for God. He was not only a man of great moral character, but also a man of immense wealth and influence. He owned thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys, and had a great number of servants to tend to them. His household was large and flourishing, blessed with 7 sons and 3 daughters. In his time, he was considered the greatest of all the people of the East, both in material wealth and in spiritual standing. What set Job apart even more was his heart's devotion to God. He made it a habit to pray for his children, offering sacrifices on their behalf regularly. He feared that perhaps in their hearts they might have sinned or cursed God, even if unknowingly. This care for purity and righteousness extended beyond himself to those he loved, revealing a man not only wealthy in possessions, but rich in faith and humility. In a realm unseen by human eyes, the heavenly beings gathered before God, and among them came Satan. God spoke of Job's faithfulness, pointing out that there was no one on earth like him, a man blameless and upright who feared God and shunned evil. But Satan, ever the accuser, challenged this, suggesting that Job's faith was shallow and conditional. He claimed that Job was faithful only because of the blessings and protection that surrounded him. Satan proposed that if those blessings were removed, Job would surely curse God to his face. God, knowing the depth of Job's heart, permitted Satan to test him. Everything Job owned was placed into Satan's power, though his life was to be spared. Soon, calamity struck with unimaginable force. In a single devastating day, messengers came to Job, one after the other, each bearing worse news than the last. Raiders attacked and stole his oxen and donkeys. Fire fell from the sky and consumed his sheep. More raiders took his camels, and a great wind collapsed the house where all his children had gathered, killing them instantly. The weight of such sudden, overwhelming loss would break the strongest of men. Job tore his robe, shaved his head in mourning, and fell to the ground. But instead of cursing God as Satan predicted, Job worshipped. In his grief, he spoke words that would echo through generations. "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Despite his unimaginable grief, Job did not sin or charge God with wrongdoing. But Satan was not finished. Again, he came before God, claiming that Job's resilience would crumble if his own body were afflicted. God granted permission for Job to be struck with terrible disease, sparing only his life. Satan afflicted Job with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Job, in his agony, sat among ashes, scraping his sores with a piece of broken pottery. His skin inflamed, his strength gone, his body disfigured, his soul in torment. His wife, seeing him suffer beyond what seemed bearable, urged him to curse God and die, believing death would be kinder than this living torment. But Job, though broken in body and burdened in spirit, rebuked her gently, saying, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" Even in the darkest moments of his life, Job refused to turn against God. In all this, he did not sin with his lips. 3 of his friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, hearing of his suffering, traveled from afar to mourn with him and offer comfort. When they arrived, they were so shocked at the sight of Job's condition that they sat with him in silence for 7 days and nights, sharing in his grief without a word, for they saw his suffering was too great for words. Eventually, Job broke the silence, cursing the day of his birth and voicing his confusion and pain. He questioned why such suffering should come upon a man who had lived righteously. His friends one by one spoke, suggesting that Job's suffering must be a result of sin, for they believed God punished the wicked and rewarded the good. They urged him to confess and repent. But Job maintained his innocence, insisting he had done no wrong to deserve such punishment. He cried out to God, longing for understanding and justice, pouring out his anguish and frustration. His speeches reflected both his human frailty and his unshaken belief in God's ultimate justice. A younger man named Elihu eventually spoke, offering a different view, suggesting that suffering can serve a purpose beyond punishment, such as instruction, correction, or testing. He reminded them that God's ways are beyond human understanding. Then God himself answered Job from a whirlwind. Rather than explaining the reasons for suffering, God questioned Job, pointing to the wonders of creation, the foundations of the earth, the boundaries of the seas, the paths of the stars, and the mysteries of life.